Hey, this is Brett Gursky. Welcome to another episode of On the List. This is episode number 58. It's November 2020. We are coming to you from the BLEAV podcast network. My guest today is a friend of mine who's also a fellow Jersey guy. He just spent the last 3 months locked away in the Big Brother house, and he emerged the winner of season 22, also known as Big Brother All Stars. And he was an all star because he'd previously made it to the final two on season 16. Of course, I'm talking about CODY Calafiore. What's up, Cody?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. I love it. The fellow Jersey guy.
I know.
Let's
It's
go.
It's perfect. We're obviously on Zoom right now, so the video from this podcast will be up on YouTube and Instagram. So you are the reigning Big Brother champion.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
How good does it feel to hear that?
Oh man, it's getting better and better, and I feel like it's sinking in a little bit more every single time. Somebody's
Right.
like the winner, and I'm like, man, it's like I can't believe that I won. I went back and like played the game for the first time and won the game. It's crazy.
Right. You had a second chance at like a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I'm right, right, and I made the most of it. The first time, I mean, I would have made the most of it if I won both times,
Right.
but second place and then first place, I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just got out of the house a week and a few
Yeah.
days ago. And I was so happy you won. I felt like I won. I was like, and I was really happy actually with season 22 overall. I felt
Yeah.
like I couldn't have scripted it more perfectly. You played a flawless game. Everything just fit together like a
No,
puzzle almost. It was
I know.
incredible.
It takes it's a lot of strategy, a lot of gameplay, and I'll never say like there's no luck because there is absolutely luck involved in it as well. So
Yeah. Well,
some things come my way, and
yeah.
yeah, we
I
are.
would I would say it's luck and skill
Yeah,
because
luck and skill.
you won four HOHs,
Right,
including the final one, which is very important, four
right,
POVs,
right.
and you never got nominated all season, which is
Crazy,
crazy. Yeah.
crazy. When I hear the stuff like that, it's like it's mind blowing to have been in the game as long and like never be on the block, never be on the block.
Right.
Going into the final HOH, that's when it was really like important to me. Like it meant everything to me to win that final HOH. Not only to pick who was going to the end with me, but to be able to say like, no, I never was on the block. Like because like, and I didn't say it, I didn't mention it. It was just because I was underprepared on 16. Like that's a huge point that like I could have said that Derek was on the block on the most important time, like when he was saying I was never on the block all season,
Right.
and to like go through it and never be on the block is just it was crazy to me. I love the competition too in the finals because it's now a little bit more skill and it's
Right.
less just like, oh, your jury member said this or this, which is like a guess.
Right.
And
Oh,
so
right.
this was cool.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
was I was so excited.
What's amazing is that you made it to the final two both seasons that you played, 16 and 22. And in both cases, you won part three where you get to pick who goes to the final two with you. So
Right.
it's amazing that you got to do that twice.
Yeah.
And this time you won first place, got the $500,000, and it was a unanimous vote, nine
Yeah.
to zero, which has only happened once before with Dan Giesling, Big Brother 10.
I
I
know.
mean, somehow it just like checked off every
I know,
record.
right?
It
It's
was
so crazy.
unbelievable.
Somebody sent me. I wish I could pull it up quickly, but I can't because I would have to go deep with my messages.
Yeah.
But somebody sent me like all the different things that like went on, and like I was like a different of like somebody who won the OTEV competition has never won the
Right.
season. Like in the amount of days that I'd been in the house, which was I think it's around like 182. I think it's exactly 182. I
Right.
got nominated twice total. One time it was a rewind week, so like I wasn't
Really
like I couldn't
nominated.
sit there on an eviction night. So there was only like one time in the two times that I played Big Brother that like somebody like I could have even been voted out of the house.
Right.
So it's just crazy to me that stuff like that was like tallied on to, from the first season to the second season, then the second season just never being nominated. 9-0 vote, which is never what I thought it was going to be.
I
Ever.
know. It was
So,
unbelievable. I knew you were going to win. I unanimously was pretty impressive.
yeah.
We're going to talk about the entire season in detail, but first I wanted to ask like how different was season 22 from season 16?
So much different, like night and day.
Really?
16, I think it had a lot to do with my age and what I would like, how I like who I was kind of going into the house, and then
How old were
just
you? Season 16.
23.
23, yeah.
23, it was my first year out of college. Like,
Right.
I was just young. I was excited to like, because I had a job that I just was like not really happy with, and I was just happy to get out of that job and go on the show of Big Brother. Like, didn't think I would go to the end of it, but like, I was just enjoying the show more than like the strategic like aspect of the game.
Right.
This time it was just completely different, and the personalities were completely different. Like 16 was, you had Frankie, Zach, Caleb, you
Right.
had Hayden, who were just like big personalities, and it's me, who I'm pretty like loud. I have a big personality, and the only two that were like kind of smaller personalities were like Derek and Donnie. Like Devin, huge personality. Then
Right.
on like the girls' side, Brittany, good personality. Amber, good personality. Nicole, likable, funny. Like a lot of people that had big personality. Jacosta, huge personality.
Right.
It's just like all people that I was getting along with. This one, it was like I felt like I was the biggest personality.
Right.
And then it was like everybody else was, it was so much strategy and so much game, where 16 just felt more fun to me. This one did not feel that fun.
Oh, interesting. Okay, we're
No,
gonna talk.
that was the big difference.
Interesting. Okay, we're gonna talk all about that. So, also, how has it been assimilating back into the real world after 85 days in the Big Brother house? Plus, how many weeks were you sequestered before that? Like 2 weeks?
2 weeks, 14 day, 15 days. I left on the 21st, and when we went in the house August 5th.
Okay, so
So
100 days.
yeah, exactly. And so I was gone for a long time, and it's just like when I was gone, it's a question like it was all Big Brother. It was like all I
Right.
was watching was Big Brother, because I wanted to get prepared. I wanted to watch past seasons, like just to study different things and prepare. And so then coming back, it was like it's a lot. And I was so hopeful that something was going to be changing in this country, and it just didn't.
Right.
And so like that was tough, while also still having the excitement of coming off and being a winner, but still juggling this like, wow, nothing has gotten better. Like we're like, this pandemic is still like as serious as it was when I left. I was hoping that it died down a little bit, but it's
Right.
just not. So dealing with that with an election going on, I was like, what? It was way different than the first time. Coming out was so much more information, so much more serious stuff going on than like the last time. I think like the biggest shock for me, I was like, Robin Williams passed away. Like, oh my
Oh,
goodness.
right.
Yeah. But
Right.
like, and it's like, no, we're in a global pandemic still in this country. It's still really bad. And there's an election going on that has been chaotic. And I'm like,
Right. Right. You're like, let me back into the house.
yeah, let me just stop where, let me just focus on Big Brother.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because the news cycle, so much happens in one day when you're
Yeah.
in this real world that to
Yeah.
disappear for 100, you miss so much. I mean, you got
No.
out and like the president and first lady both had COVID while you were in there.
Yeah. Somebody said that to me, and I was like, they were like, yeah, it went through like the whole White House. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that was just like 1 week while you were in there.
Crazy.
So I want to say you're back in New Jersey now. You're home. I'm in Jersey too.
Oh,
You're from Howell,
yeah.
so we're like 20, 30 minutes apart.
Yeah, we're right near each other. We're like
It's
neighbors.
it's crazy, yeah. I came home to visit my family in July and for my twin niece's birthdays, and then I've just been here ever since
You
because,
never come back.
well, because with everything going on, it was like I'm gonna
Yeah.
go back there, quarantine, and then if it gets worse, can I get back here? So
Right.
I'm just sort of staying put and riding it out, and my place will be there waiting for me in LA when I get back, and wait for things to get back to a little more normal. But in the meantime, enjoying
Crazy.
time
It's like,
with family.
I mean, it's as normal as
Yeah,
it can be. There's capacities, but like restaurants, you're allowed to eat inside at a normal at
right.
a certain capacity. Like, so I felt like that was really nice to come home to. I
Yeah.
felt a little bit more normal.
Well, that's why I stayed here because it's
Um,
interesting. New York and New Jersey got hit hard first in March, and
oh,
somehow they got it together and got better.
yeah,
So when I came here in July, I was like, "Wait, this is better than what's going on in LA. I'm just gonna stay here
yeah.
until I have to go back."
Yeah.
So you just got back from LA last week, obviously. Was the house on the Radford lot again? Is that where it was, or was it in a
Yeah,
new
yeah, yeah, yeah. Same spot.
same
It's always
place?
in the same spot.
Okay, I
Always,
didn't know. Yeah, I
yeah.
didn't know if with the pandemic they had to move it around or
Oh,
not.
no, they didn't move. I mean, they just can't. There's no way. It's so much money and so much has gone into that house
Yeah.
that they can't just pick up and leave it and move it. And so it was just, it just was a whole different experience. Like nobody came in the house, like the table getting smaller is a big thing.
Right.
That never happened. Like anytime something would happen, like they would barely come in. Like we would have to strain up some of the rooms before like shooting something because like they couldn't get people in to do it.
Right.
It was crazy. Then they would be bombing like that fog, I guess, to clean everything. Like that would be bombing constantly. Like if they had to come into the storage room, everything would get bombed.
Wow.
They had to go in the HOH room, everyone would get bombed, everything would get bombed, and you could smell it in the house, the backyard. You could smell it. It was like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Such a just
Yeah,
like production.
right. Yeah. And they were just, because if anything happened, if one person in the house got it, everyone would have gotten it. It would have been a
Right.
nightmare.
Right.
It's interesting because when the quarantine first started, I remember thinking like, now I know what it feels to be stuck at the Big Brother house. I've watched it all these seasons, and now I'm quarantined.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking when it first started, like, I wonder if CBS will do it because it's the perfect
Yeah.
quarantine show. It's about being quarantined.
Exactly. And it worked. I think what their biggest hurdles were that like people coming on to work, like not necessarily us.
Right.
Nobody was coming in the house. It was, can we make the show run? Because they needed a certain number of people with the cameras and a certain number of people like monitoring the sound and like different shots and editing and the producers that are coming in that we're talking to. Like, I feel like it was more about that than it was about us because we were in the house. We were tested. We were tested when I came in and when I flew in, I was tested like 4 times before I even got in the house.
Wow.
And we were tested every single week. And
Once you're in the house, that's wild because you can't
Yeah.
really get it in the house, but I guess just to be
Right.
safe.
Yeah, to be safe. And so like it was a crazy, crazy experience. But I mean, I wouldn't change it for anything. It was
It's perfect.
But I will tell you, it is not the same as being quarantined in your house.
No.
You have your phone and the television.
Right.
I forgot I did not realize how boring it was. I also think that was a big difference for me. There was a big contract difference of the first time there weren't any hours that you had to be awake. This time you have to be awake in your contract from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Oh,
So
wow.
those hours you must be awake in the house. And so I couldn't stay up until 4 in the morning and then sleep until 5 p.m. to have the day like waste away.
Right.
I would have to be awake, and that was brutal.
Is that because of the live feeds? They need stuff going on?
I think it was because too many people that were watching the feeds were complaining that, oh my God, they sleep all day, all the people are sleeping, and then we're up until like 6 a.m., which is when nobody else is awake. So
Right.
so I think that had to do with it. I think that was more recently implemented. I think it was around season 20 it was implemented, 19 or 20.
Yeah, it's probably has to do with when CBS All Access started, I would guess, and people started subscribing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys have to run your own diary rooms? The diary room looked different this season. Or like
No,
no?
everything was the same with that.
Really?
Excuse
Bless
me.
you. I thought maybe it looked a little different, like you guys had to do something, like light it yourself or like
Oh
there was,
no! They had everything set up. Nothing about that was different.
okay.
Nothing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe the lighting. I mean, I'll tell you what. The lighting. I don't remember it being the way it was, but it was like in your face, like these LED lights that just were like blinding.
That's why it looked like everyone was being blinded. That's why I asked. It looked a little different.
Yeah. Being in that house was so tough. I don't remember this from the first time, but like I was wearing those sunglasses. I know they made a thing about it because people had told me about it, but I was like, I wasn't wearing sunglasses to do anything other than like protect my eyes because I would go to sleep with splitting headaches and wake up with even worse headaches. And my eyes would be throbbing for a good like 2 hours just to try to go to sleep because of the constant LED light that's in our face.
Wow.
It was really, really rough. I don't remember any of this, but I think it would have to do with like this go around. I was much more like stressed the entire time. There was a lot more game that I was doing.
Yeah.
And so the whole experience was just different for me.
Different, yeah. For people who may not know, when you're in the Big Brother house, you're filmed 24/7. There are cameras and microphones everywhere. There's no communication with the outside world. You're completely cut off. So I've always been fascinated with the social experiment of it. Like, how are these people going to handle only being able to communicate with each other? No distractions, like you said, no TV, no internet, nothing. Have you had a chance to watch the season yet at all, or look at it?
I also want to add on to what you just said and say, to anybody that's questioning, yes, there are cameras in the bathroom. There are cameras everywhere, so you don't have privacy. We're not saying that people can watch you in the bathroom, but there are cameras everywhere. And I always know that that's a question that people say. So here, there are cameras everywhere. You cannot escape the cameras.
Right, and that's in case like you go with someone into the bathroom to like scheme, right? They need to capture it.
Something like that. They have to capture it. Or like, God forbid, like somebody like Victoria on season 16 went into the bathroom and passed out.
Oh,
And
wow.
like they saw them, were like, somebody needs to go check on Victoria. And so we rushed to the bathroom to see Victoria. So there's a lot of different reasons why they do it. And it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's literally like the movie The Truman Show. It's like you're being watched by a control room 24/7.
It's crazy.
Crazy. So you said you haven't had a chance to watch any episodes yet?
I feel like I'm starting to now like decompress a little bit. I'm starting to feel very normal. And I think it's because everything that's going on outside of Big Brother has
Yeah.
been like going on. Like my coaching has never stopped. Like that was going on through the pandemic. So like I came back and I was immediately jumping into that.
Right.
Real estate is still going on. I'm still getting emails and stuff. There were still a lot of things I need to sort out with real estate. So like that was coming back. I have to reconnect with all like my manager and my agents because like I want to start doing auditions and stuff like that. So it's
Right.
like that's helped me really like I already feel like I'm kind of normal.
Okay. Oh, that's
I
good.
feel like I'm kind of back to normal. So
Yeah. Right. So you just mentioned, I'll bring that up. You kind of have four jobs, like
yeah,
Big Brother, reality star, actor, real
yeah,
estate agent, and soccer coach.
right.
How do you balance all that?
Um, the real estate I was doing to really kind of focus more on that was more of a long-term goal of mine to like really dive into the real estate. But I wanted to get started as soon as I possibly could to start building relationships and let people know that I was in it. That's more part of my like 10-year goal because I want to do real estate because the kids end up aging out, they go away to college, and then I no longer coach them.
Right.
And so that was going to phase out. And I wanted to try to phase into something else to supplement me to really chase after the acting. Because soccer and real estate, they really only supplement me so that I really have a wide open schedule where my days are open. So if it's like I need an audition or I need you to be in New York at 2:00 tomorrow, I'm like, great. My training doesn't start till 7:00. I can be in New York and be back with plenty of time.
Great.
And also, like if I book a role and I need to be gone, I have people to cover. And so like I can get coverage. And so it really has been a big juggling act, but really with like everybody knows like if I book a role, I'm going to be missing, people are going to be here. And everybody's really understanding because I'm pretty honest up front about it. It's like,
Yeah.
guys, I really want to do this. And a role can come up. I can audition. All of a sudden it can be tomorrow that is like, okay, you're booked. We're shooting on Saturday. We need you Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. And I think Big Brother is good for your acting career because it puts you on TV, CBS, 3 nights a week. It's like the highest rated show. There weren't a lot of new things to watch because of the pandemic. It was the show to watch this summer. I
Yeah.
think it won the time slot. So I feel like why not get yourself on TV every night if you can?
Yeah, right. I also was thinking about that. I spoke to my acting coach right before I went in there, and I was like, I know because the first time I went on and came off, was speaking to an agency, and they were like, we don't really know that it's going to help you. We
Hmm.
think that it might just kind of hurt you because people will see you as that and not as something as like, oh, we want to see him in this role.
Right.
Where I now think like 6 years down the road, it's kind of changed a little bit. They're just like, it might, but I honestly don't think it's going to hurt you. Like, I
Right.
think it will only help you. And so I'm hopeful. I'll see what happens. I have meetings with my teams on Monday and all next week. So, I
Nice.
mean, I'm just trying to figure out, kind of where I go from here
Yeah.
because I really want to I've been working at the acting stuff for a long time now.
Yeah. I know that.
And I know how hard it is it doesn't really matter how long I've been doing it because people do it for their whole lives and then it takes them like 30 years to finally be like, oh, now I'm consistently working.
Right.
So, and that's why I'll never my acting coach said something to me years ago. And it was like, the only people that don't make it are the ones that stop trying and quit. So as long as you keep doing it, there's always a chance.
100%.
Stick to that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that. Your only competition are the people who stick with it, is what I always
Yeah.
say. Like the other
Yeah.
people quit and fall away.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's interesting because I feel like since the first time you were on the show, I feel like there's less of a stigma with reality TV or being on
Yeah.
TV or being in movies. Like
Yeah.
movie stars are doing TV shows now,
Yeah.
and
Hope.
reality stars, like you go on Dancing with the Stars and it makes you famous again and you get a TV show. Like it
Yeah.
all kind of fits together.
Totally. I think it's changed a lot. I was speaking to the casting director for Big Brother
Yeah.
because I said something to her like years back. She was like, "Would you ever like want to do something again?" And I was like, "I don't think my agency would approve it." And now, like, I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think an agency would be like, "No, I don't think it's good for you to go on this show." I
Right.
think they'd be like, "You'll get your face in front of people, and then like that could help you." You
Totally.
know.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'm very excited to see what goes on because the first time it was like I'd never acted before and I wanted to like learn the craft and like not just jump into it. And now I've been working at that craft for like years and I'm nowhere
Yeah.
near what I want to be at, but I'm still like, I'm not like fresh in it. Whereas the first time it was like I was in class 3 nights a week for 4 hours
Right.
to like learn the craft. Now I do classes just to kind of like make sure I'm staying fresh
Yeah.
and hopeful for like whenever a role comes up.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And things are starting to kick back up with production, hopefully, especially like New York City would be convenient for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
so other thing I wanted to ask, switching gears a little bit, how is your family doing? You had a death in the family while you were in the house, which is it's hard enough to go through that not in the Big Brother house, but to do that without being able to talk to your family, uh, what was that like? How did you get through that?
Oh my gosh, it's so that's crazy. You like you go through it, and when it happens, it's like everything collapses.
Right.
I just remember like getting the letter and just being like, oh, like you like it makes you like dreadful. Like I feel like every time I walk in the DR, it then made me stare at the seat in hopes that like because I remember when I got called to the DR that time, we were like talking, and I got called to the DR, and I was like, yes, I'm finally on the show because like I hadn't been in the DR.
Oh,
And then you walk into the DR because like you think like, oh, when I get called to the DR, like they're gonna ask me stuff, I'm gonna be on the show. Like, yes, I'm on the show. I walk in there and I see the letter, and it's just like you just know immediately, like, oh God, something bad happened outside of the house.
right.
The support of the cast is really what like helps you get through it.
Yeah, and it was almost ironic because on season 16, Derek's grandfather passed away and Frankie's grandfather passed away, and
Yeah.
then on your season it happened to you. I was like, how does this keep happening when they go into the house? It's like freaky almost, and sad.
Yeah.
Um,
My grandfather, I kind of had an idea, but would pray every day in there and be hopeful that like, okay, it's like another day went by. And I think I'm gonna
right.
get through it. I think he's gonna be here when I get out of here. And so I kind of had that in my head beforehand, but then you lose track of it. And I'm just praying and being hopeful. And yeah, it's definitely very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Not like is everybody okay outside of the house?
Right.
Like they're watching me and like don't know really what my mental state is and like how
Right.
I'm handling it. And so I think it's tough all around for like both sides, like me in there and also like my family and everybody outside.
Right. I always wondered if they would make an exception for that, like at least make an exception to talk to somebody on the phone, but I guess they just can't
Oh,
break the rule.
no,
Yeah. But
they don't.
I saw some nice tributes to your grandfather that your brother posted.
Yeah,
Your brother, Paulie, was on season 18, so he's
right.
very active on social media. So yeah, it was nice. It was like they were trying to get the word out about like what your grandfather was like. It seemed like everyone was really close, and your pictures were like very. It looked like a New Jersey kids in like the 80s and 90s. That's what it looked like. I was like, I have pictures just like that.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but I also, before we continue talking about season 22, I wanted to give people a little backstory. So we've known each other for like 5 years now. We first met September 2015 through Jeff and Jordan.
Yep.
Jeff and Jordan were on season 11 of Big Brother. That's where they met. Now they're married with kids. Jordan actually won season 11. Uh, and so they went to the finale of Big Brother 17 in 2015. And you and Derek had been
Yep.
on 16, so you came out to LA for the finale of 17. And I was throwing this Verizon party where Kanye West was
Yeah.
performing. And I
I remember.
invited Jeff and Jordan, and I was like, wait, you were with Derek and Cody. Can you invite them? Because I had watched
Yeah.
season 16, and I was like, Cody's from Jersey, invite them. So you guys came to that, which was fun, and that's how
I
we.
still talk about that party to this day.
Well, now he's
Still
a.
party. It was awesome.
Yeah, he performed, and we were like, couldn't be closer.
Like right in front of them.
Yeah,
And the amount of other people that were there, like all these celebrities, I was like, whoa. That
yeah.
was like the first time I'd ever been like around other people that you only really see on television.
Oh,
So
good. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Welcome to Hollywood. But
right.
now Kanye, 5 years later, is a presidential candidate. Who would have
Yeah, right.
thought?
Some of the gifts that are getting me is like it's like Kanye, like looking at a computer. It's like when you realize you accidentally became president.
Right.
And
Exactly.
back me up.
Yeah, I saw his name on the ballot. I was like, wait, this is really happening. This is
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, so we all hung out that night. We went to the Nice Guy after and
Yeah, that's
been
awesome.
friends ever since. We
Yeah.
talked about acting and directing, and I've seen your audition tapes and stuff. Um, and as far as Big Brother goes, I don't know if you know this, but to let people know, I've seen every season since season one, every episode. So I know the ins and outs. I know who everyone is. And so
Yeah.
you now join the ranks of Will Kirby from season two, Dan Giesling from season 10, and Derek from season 16 as one of the greatest of all time, which is pretty awesome. You might actually be even higher up because you did second place and first place. I think only Dan did that, right?
Yeah, he did. Will went, got first and got fourth, and I
Right.
felt like was like this close because like that's my favorite season is the All Star season, and Will
Yeah,
was like
the first
this
All
close in
Star.
that Final Four. Yeah, the first All Stars. Will was this close in the Final Four to winning the Final Four, and
Yeah,
so like I don't know, he came back a second time and did incredible. So it's just cool to be mentioned in that like rank. It's just
totally.
it's so cool. So that's still a little surreal. Like
Yeah,
Derek said it to me right when I came out. He was like the second person I talked to after my family, and
yeah,
you don't realize it yet. I know your head's spinning right now, but like you don't understand that you just kind of put yourself into like a conversation with the greatest that have played the game. And I'm like,
100%. Yeah. It's funny because I texted you and your phone was still green because you didn't have your phone yet. It was green. And so I texted Derek and I was like, I'm so happy for Cody. Like, I needed to talk to someone. And I was like, that was the storybook ending. And he's like, that was. That's really the way to describe it.
it's crazy. I don't know because like I feel like I only got text messages from like that day. Like I didn't get anything from previously. I don't know
Was it
when you
odd?
text.
Yeah, I know. It was like, it
It
was
was
green.
yeah, nothing was coming through, but I don't know. Like it was really weird. I only got text messages from like that, like
When
you
you
had
turned it
texted me
on.
like immediately after the finale, or maybe like an hour after the finale, and until I turned my phone on. It was like
Right.
I didn't have. I feel like I missed a lot of
You
messages.
probably missed 3 months of text, right?
Yeah, and I didn't see any of my 3 months of text, which
Huh.
I really was looking forward to, like seeing some of the stuff that came through.
I guess the only way to do it is to leave the phone on and charging for 3 months. Is the only way to.
I wish they would have done that. I wish
Yeah.
because I would have loved to have seen like what went on.
Yeah. Totally.
I think
Well,
like phones blow up. I think if you get too many messages. So
it must be. Yeah. But so speaking of Derek, on season 16, you guys had an alliance called the Hitman, and you made it to the final two. And like I said, you got to pick who you took, and you took Derek over Victoria because you were loyal to your alliance. And you knew he had a really good chance of winning first, but you did it anyway. He did win first. You took second. So this time, when you won the last HOH, you had the choice between Nicole and Enzo to take the final two. You chose Enzo. You won. Second place was kind of a win for Enzo because he was third on his season,
right.
season 12 when he played. So I almost felt like it was good karma all around. You did the right thing with Derek in 16, and then it came back around for you
Yeah.
22. Did you feel that you were doing the right thing?
I thought it was yeah, because I also felt which weighed on me that Nicole had already gone to the final two. She won the money, so she's had this money. Like
Right.
Enzo has not had a chance to like one plead his case, win that kind of money, and just so that was a part of it. But yeah, that's why for me this season, like coming back and getting to the final two was not going to be a win for me. Coming to the final two and winning was the only way I would have felt like, wow, I really like proved that I was worthy of something. And so for me, it just was that much more important to like get there and win.
Yeah. When they first announced the All Star season that that's what it was going to be, did anything click in your mind like I have to do that? Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? How did that
About how when they reached out to me about
for All Stars? Yeah.
so they had reached out to me before anything had gone out. And I told them right away, I was like, yes, I was like, but you need to let me know when this is like official because I coach a high school team. Like, it's not like my other stuff where like I can just be like, hey, I got coverage. My high
Right.
school team, like, there's the AD, there's a lot of other things, and there's people that are spending money because I coach at a private school. Like, people are spending money for their kids to be here, It's not just like a public school.
Yeah.
And so I need to let them know so we can be prepared, because they're going to get calls and questions about it. And so, but when they called me like early April. It might have been the second weekend, which was like still very early. I think it was like April like 10th or something like that. April
Yeah.
11th, around there. And I immediately told them, I was like, yep, I'm going. They were like,
Nice.
this is what we want to do. I was like, good, I'll be there. You let me know when it's official, because I'm waiting to tell anybody, but when it's official, it doesn't matter when, you have to tell me, but I'm coming on the show. And so it was awesome. It was just crazy to get that call. I
Yeah.
was so excited.
It's so awesome. And obviously no hesitation from you. Your family, I'm sure, was behind it right away. Your
Oh, so
girlfriend.
glad.
Was your
So
girlfriend like, you got to do it?
not at first. First, she was very excited for the opportunity. Was like so excited for me, but couldn't like understand. Like, wait a minute, I'm not gonna be able to talk to you for 3 months at all. Like, we're not
Right.
gonna speak at all. Like, oh man, this is gonna be very difficult for me. So she was in a very weird headspace of like over the top excited for me, but very nervous for like not being able to talk to me, because like her and I don't know if they've shown it, like we talked, like it was talked about on the show, like we've gone through a lot in our relationship together, and like I've always been like that rock for each other.
Hmm.
Like, not be together was like, I thought I was gonna be cool. I was like, I'm gonna be fine. Like, I'm gonna be thinking about the game. I know it's gonna be tough for you. And then I got in the house and I was like a mess. I
Wow.
was like so horrible. Like, I can't believe I can't talk to her. Like, I wouldn't even be able to speak about her without like getting like worked up.
Emotional. Oh, that's nice.
So like, it was crazy. It was crazy, crazy, crazy.
Wow. Well, when they first announced the All Star season, I remember I tweeted, "You can't have an All Star season without Cody and Derek and Dan Giesling and Jeff and Jordan." So I put it out there for
Yeah,
CBS. And
yeah.
then I guess, did Derek and Dan want to just go out as winners? Did they not want to come back?
I think there was a lot of things that went into the equation. I think Derek was dealing with a lot of stuff at home, and
He's
you
got
know,
kids, yeah.
yeah, he's got the kids, and like his daughter started like really started like to get upset when he had mentioned, he's like, I think I'm going to go on the show.
Yeah.
She started getting very, very upset, and he had a lot of other stuff going on in his life, like and not to get too personal about Derek, and so
Right.
like it didn't fit to be done, and because the big thing that he asked was, is it a full season
Right.
or shortened season? They're like, no, it's a full season. And so that I think was a big deciding factor for him.
Yeah.
And Dan just was like, I got
Right.
first, played again, I got second, like, and like could have easily gotten first on that season. So
Yeah.
he was like, I mean, I've not spoken to Dan, so this is not anything that he has said to me, but like if I was Dan, I would have been like, what's the purpose of me going back?
Right. He had
Like,
nothing to prove.
telling me this is the cast, like there's going to be X, Y, and Z. So I know, like, okay, there's a Derek, there's a Will, there's like an evil Dick, who are like people that will be like, we're not going to let this person get this far. So it's like he can like balance himself.
Right.
And so I feel like that kind of weight. And then, I don't know, and he probably has stuff going on in his life. But then Will, I just also feel like it would have been cool if Will was there.
Yeah, that would
But
have
Will
been
probably just like, I'm the best. That's what we're doing. I
cool.
don't need
Right.
to go back again. You
Right.
know?
Right. Well, I think that kind of worked out well because it paved the way for you to come back and clinch the
Yeah,
title. You know,
totally.
that worked out. But I've heard you say that you didn't want to tell anybody that you were going back. Like, you didn't brag about it on social media because you didn't want other people who might be going back to know that you were going to be there. Right.
Correct. I was like I immediately started playing when like I got the call and stuff started leaking. The only person that knew obviously is Derek, because I would be talking to Derek constantly, which I think everybody can ultimately assume was going to happen.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, but I was like, I do not want a single person knowing that I'm going to be on this show. I don't want anybody knowing, because I don't want to be in touch with people. I don't want to do any like this pre-gaming stuff. Like, I want to go in, and I know people were doing it. And so I was like, I want people to not be prepared for me and not realize like what I really was doing on our season, like how I was at competitions, because on our season I won 6 comps.
Right.
I know it was not 8, but it's like, that's still a lot of competitions to
That's a
win.
lot. Yeah.
3 HOHs, 3 vetoes. So it's like, I won a lot. And I didn't want people to be like, watch season 16. Because what I was doing in Sequester was everybody that was like, information was coming out, I was watching everyone's season.
Smart.
I was overly preparing myself for like, well, they played this way on their season, they played this way on this season, and then this way on this season. So like when I started to see stuff happening, I would be like, oh, this is kind of like it would give me like a kind of like a vision of like, this is what I think is going to happen with them. This is what probably is going to happen. Like, and either it was a positive or it was a negative. Be like,
Yeah.
I think they should probably go. And so I think it honestly worked out for me. Like, it didn't matter. Like, and it didn't bother me that like my name wasn't coming up. How like some people were like, "Oh, I wasn't asked. Oh, I wasn't blah blah blah." I'm like, really, man? I was just like, I don't care. I don't care to answer people. I don't care to talk about it because I'm
Right.
going to win. I'm going to win the show.
Right. So no one knew really till that the day you went into the house.
No,
Pretty much.
nobody knew, and I think stuff was leaked, and I think some people had information. I
I
mean,
didn't hear. I actually didn't hear about you. I heard they were talking
yeah.
about your brother actually. Like
Well, when
TMZ said your
he,
brother was going.
yeah, when he talked to me, he's like, "I'm going to tell everybody that it was me and not you that's going." I was like, "Sure, do whatever you want. Do not say anything about me."
Yeah, that
So
worked.
like, talking about himself. So I think people started seeing like, "Oh, Paulie's going back on the show," and it kept my name out of it again. Like, I just didn't want anybody knowing that I was going on the show.
Smart. That was good.
Because I don't want people to be like, "Oh, I heard him. Like, we're probably gonna have to target him. Oh, he's
Right.
probably trying to play with Derek." And like, because once we were in there and I was face to face with people, it allowed me to build authentic relationships of like,
Right.
I'm here now. Like, you might have been talking to people, but like look what they're doing right now. Like, don't, it doesn't that rub you the wrong way? Like, look
Mhm.
at our relationship. And so I just didn't want, I didn't want people knowing.
Smart. Yeah. So episode one is when we learned for sure who was in the house. So when I saw you were on it, I was like, Cody is winning the season. I told everyone. And I was like, when he wins, I'm having him on my podcast. Not if he wins, when he wins.
Yeah.
You could ask anybody. But so this I wanted to tell you was one of my favorite seasons for a lot of reasons. It was the first season I watched entirely in New Jersey at home with
Wow.
the family. So it was the first one I got to watch with my nephew Mason, who's 10, and my nieces Izzy and Sophie, they're 8. And, I'd never gotten to really watch Big Brother with them, especially not a full season. So my niece Izzy got especially into it from episode one. She became like
Yeah.
a super fan like me. And at first she was like, I can't believe how excited you are for this. Because as they were revealing who was in the house, I was like, yes, yes. Then she watched every single episode with me. So it became like our thing for the summer. And when you first came up on screen, I was like, oh, that's my friend. And so then that's who she rooted for. She was like,
That's
when you talk to Cody, tell him we rooted for him every episode. We cheered for him
yeah.
every episode. Yeah, you've got a new fan base 20 minutes away in Jersey.
I love that.
Yeah. When you won, like they were screaming. It
Yeah.
was a
Like,
nice.
so I love. I saw some videos. People would post videos and stuff, and like that stuff is really cool to see and
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like kids love you. Like you're a soccer coach for kids. I feel like you just something about you. You're the guy they root for.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say I came in second in a Big Brother fantasy draft
Yeah.
because of you. I would have come in first if the person who came in first hadn't done a trade. They traded out Danny right before the triple eviction, and they
Oh
took
wow.
Enzo. But I
Oh
stuck with,
wow.
but I stuck with my team because you
Yeah.
picked 5 people. I stuck with
Yeah.
my team the entire time, so I almost felt like. And then I came in second. I was like, shoot, I wasn't going to make any trades. I'll tell you as we mention the cast. I'll tell you like who my team was. So let's go over the All Star cast. We'll do it in the order they got evicted, and you just tell me like first impression or what you thought of them, or let's go through it. First person evicted, Keisha. She was on season 10. What was
Right.
your impression of Keisha when you first walked in the house?
Um, Super, like such a sweetheart, Keisha.
Yeah.
Was the only face that I didn't recognize when I
Right.
walked in the house because 10 wasn't a season that I really watched. And when you hear about 10, like I would hear it would be on in my house, and I remember Jesse, I remember Jerry, I remember Dan.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I couldn't really remember. So Keisha was just somebody that I was like, wait, who is that? But then like learning if she was on season 10, went all the way to the end, was America's favorite player. Like it was like, oh wow, like okay, that's a big player to have in the house.
Right.
And then Memphis started talking about all like she was like in a lot of fights. She was really feisty. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah. Actually,
Um,
one of the best Big Brother moments on YouTube is her birthday in season 10,
yeah,
where a huge fight breaks out, and then they bring out a cake and sing happy birthday to her when tensions are just at an all-time high. It's pretty
we
funny to
love
watch.
that. We love that. Which is why I didn't really understand fully the birthday girl. And then
Oh,
we did
yeah.
the competition. I was like,
Right.
what is this? I was like, I don't know what this means.
Right.
And so, but yeah, Keisha was like super, super nice. Definitely seems super genuine. I just didn't, in that first week, we didn't have a lot of conversations. And when
Yeah.
you need people to put up and you need an easy decision, like you're going to put up the people that you talk to least. And
Yeah.
that was unfortunately.
That's how it happens, yeah. So also in the house, Nicole A from season 21. That was last
Yeah.
year. Uh,
Yep.
Janelle from season 6, 7,
Yep.
and 14.
Yep.
Kaser from season 6 and 7. So you must have known Janelle and Kaser, or was that before you really watched it?
I knew Janelle and Kaser because I just also recently watched the
Original
also
All Stars. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
just watched it. So like Kaser and Janelle, like I knew Janelle from 14 like a lot.
Yeah.
I watched 14. That's when I had already been watching the show.
Yeah.
But Janelle and Kaser, I wouldn't have known who Kaser was if I hadn't like just rewatched the show.
Right.
And so
So you
that
knew
was
immediately when they walked in the house, you knew that was a duo immediately.
well. When they walked in the house, I was like, oh wow, they know each other. But I didn't project that on them because I didn't want people to just immediately start linking up people that were on the same seasons. Because
Right.
like Nicole and I hadn't spoke for 6 years, and then we were in the house together, and so I was like, oh, what are people gonna say that we're linked as a duo? Because
Yeah.
like we had to build that, and then like in the beginning, I was like, yes, us two, final two. Like I promise you, like I'm gonna build because she was so incredible with my brother.
Right.
Like he was her biggest ally. And so like when my brother came out and like would talk about her, it was just he would speak so highly of her. And
Yeah.
so for me going in there, I was like, oh my God, I need to make sure it's right with Nicole, with me. And hopefully my brother built trust that is going to then transfer to me. And then we just built trust with each other throughout the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah.
She
That
was
was that.
one of my best allies of the season.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get to her in a second. Bailey from season 20 was on the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Love
E-
Bay.
but yeah, she's cool. Ian, who won season 14, he was the
Yeah.
other winner in the house.
Right.
Uh, Davon from season 17 and 18.
Yep.
Kevin from season 11.
Yep.
David from season 21, who was evicted first, but they brought
Yeah.
him back for All Stars.
Yeah. I was
Uh,
like, that's why I think all of us were like, okay,
right.
well, all right, he's here.
It was more like a second chance, yeah, than an All Star.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then Danny from seasons 8 and 13,
Yep.
Tyler from season 20, Memphis from season 10, Christmas from season 19, Nicole F, who you mentioned, 16, 18, she won 18, and Enzo from season 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Meow Meow. Yeah, I think Enzo's the funniest person on Big Brother. I mean, he gives such good diary room sound bites. He's
He's so
so
funny.
funny.
Can't
Yeah,
wait to watch back this season when like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna do it,
he's
and
funny.
have watch him. I'm excited.
Yeah, if you ever want to watch with my nephew and nieces, your episode,
Yeah.
I'm sure they would like to watch it with you.
Uh,
And you know the thing with Enzo too, when you both walked in, the first thing that came to mind, obviously for me, is I'm like, they're both Jersey guys. I hope
that's
they team up.
we linked up immediately. We like I had met Enzo. He came to a meet and greet between Derek and I had a meet and greet in New York City. He surprised us and showed up.
Yeah,
Only other time I had spoken or met Enzo, and then seeing him in the house, like I immediately knew like there. I mean, we had the conversation immediately. It was just
yeah,
like I think I won the HOH, and he came in and be like, I got you, Jersey. We're going to the end of this game, and I was
and
like,
he,
done. And I
he
knew
meant it.
he meant it. I
He
knew
meant it. Yeah,
And so, like, because there's a lot of ones where you're like, oh, yeah, we're making final twos. Like, Memphis and I had the cool one because it was like we both went to the final two. We have that, like, link together. Like,
yeah,
let's do it. Like, Memphis immediately was showing me, I was like, I don't know how serious this is. And then we were working in that bigger alliance together, which helped us and bonded us even more throughout.
right,
But, like, Enzo was somebody that I knew right off the bat. I was like, I trust him 100%. Even Nicole, I was like, I trust her, but like, let's see what happens. 'Cause
right,
I didn't know she was going to be hurt from my season. So
right.
it's just, but Enzo was one where when I saw him, I was like, done. We're going to be working together.
Absolutely. I mean, I predicted it from episode 1 when you two clicked. I was like, that's it, Cody Enzo final 2. All my Big Brother group chats I have going, I was like, Cody Enzo final 2. I stuck with it.
Yep.
You guys proved me right. So I'll tell you now that we mentioned the cast, I'll tell you who my fantasy team was. So how it works is you pick 5 players from episode 1 and you send it in, and then every week you get points for different things. So they win HOH, you get points. They win POV, you get points. They
That's
get
cool.
nominated, you lose points. Evicted. I actually should forward you the emails they send every week because
That's pretty cool.
it's funny what they give points for, and it's like 60 people. Lance Bass is in it.
So you can pick any 5. Like
Any 5.
somebody else can pick the same. So there could be somebody else with the same 5 as you.
Totally. Yeah, and you don't know. They don't tell you who has what. You just every week you get a ranking. And so because of my team, I was always in like the top 5. So I'll tell you, my team was Cody, Enzo, Tyler,
Oh,
Janelle,
yeah.
Christmas. It was
Oh,
a
wow.
solid team, and I picked it because I've seen every season. I was
Yeah.
very informed. I
Yeah.
knew that you, Tyler, Janelle, and Christmas were comp beasts. I
Yeah.
knew that you and Enzo had the social game, and
Yeah.
Tyler,
Yeah.
and you and Tyler were kind of always the guys who got second, who should have also, could have gotten first in my
Right.
mind.
Right.
So I picked those five. I stuck with those five, and I came in second out of 60 people.
That's
So close. It was close.
that's good. That's
Yeah,
really
I got an
that's a
email that
stacked team.
what? Yeah,
That's a stacked team.
and even when Janelle left on the early side, I still did really well. Like the
Yeah.
remaining four were strong enough.
Final six too.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, one with the final six, two went like that team just went. Yeah, that's good.
It was epic. Yeah, it's like fantasy football basically, but with
Yeah, I like that.
Big Brother. Yeah. So uh, I was actually in first place the week of October 5th. So whatever happened the first week of October, I know you have everything memorized when things happen.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that
Well,
first week of October.
throws me in a loop because I one time I never knew what day it was.
You know
Like I
that,
never is it October 6th or is it October 7th?
right?
Like I never knew that.
Right. But
I
I
knew what day exactly it was in the house.
Yeah, so that was my highest ranking first. I wanted to hold on to it, but that other person, this girl Katie, I don't know who she is, but she traded out Danny and Enzo. Uh, so, like you said before, 182 days in the house total. Uh, you move into the house the second time. Tell me your immediate thoughts. Like, I guess Enzo you connected with. Did
Yeah.
you want to win that first HOH, or were you like I have to?
So what happened with me is I was like, I don't know that I want to win the first HOH. I don't want to be looked at as the person winning. And
Right.
then a lot of names had been leaked, and I was monitoring all of this.
Okay.
And so I got in there, and I did the first competition. I knew there was going to be two parts, so I was like, all right, well, like let's see what happens. I won the first part, and then I got to see like the cast, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't really know about this. Like I'm seeing that on TV. Like I was like, I think even though I didn't want to win, I was like, I'm gunning for it. And so it just so happened it was a competition that kind of like worked in my favor, and I just like glided through that and then just went.
Yeah, the soccer skills paid
Yeah,
off. The
and
run.
agility.
Yeah.
Also was like my length helped me because I was always like feeling it out, and then I was moving. Because
Yeah.
I was like, is this going to be, once I fell off the first one, I was wobbly. I was like, oh, this is going to be bad.
Yeah. And it was live, right? The first episode was live.
It was live.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And I feel like I've seen that a lot where the first HOH goes on to win the whole season. There's something about it.
Yeah.
You know, I think,
Bailey had mentioned that in her week, and it kind of like made me be like, I don't think Bailey should be in the house anymore.
right.
Like, she was like, nobody wants to sit next to you in the end, just so you know, like you're extremely likable. She's like, from conversations that I'm having, everybody seems to think they're working with you. And she's like, you're going to be very tough to beat. And a lot of times that first HOH forms relationships that puts them to the end of the game.
Yeah.
She said to me in like the week when I was like, you're going on the block this week. I was like, I think she already had been on the block. I was like,
Right.
I love that you're being honest with me, babe. Like, this is not helping me want you to stay in the house.
Right. Well, what do you think it is? Is it because HOH is head of household, you get your own room, and everyone comes to you to have these one-on-one conversations to make sure you're not putting them up on the block that week? So I think
Right.
it's almost like you can have a conversation with every single person in the house without anyone getting suspicious. You get
Right.
like this alone time, and
Right.
that's when you formed all your alliances, right?
I have a ton of relationships, but I also treated the first HOH like I also didn't want my first HOH to be, oh, he's just sitting up in the room, and we only really see him if he comes down to eat or something. And
Right.
so I like spent minimal time. I spent more time like out of the HOH room or like in the downstairs bedrooms than I did in the HOH. I like use the HOH room to like sleep and shower.
Right.
And I was like, I want to be in the house. I want to have this power and the safety, but I want to build my relationships in the house. And then if people want to talk, we can go to the HOH room and use that as like a buffer, like, oh, nominations, or like, oh, the veto's being used.
Right.
So I think that really helped me because I still felt like, you can miss out on a lot of relationships that are being built if you're just sitting up in your apartment, so to speak, like on
Yeah.
the top floor,
Yeah.
not talking to everybody that's down there. You essentially just wasted the power that you have in that week because like people may not really like how you've like played that first week, and then you could go on the block the next week.
Right. Yeah. You suddenly can become the biggest target. Right. You
Exactly.
still have
And
to be everyone's friend. Yeah.
like I was saying all first week, everybody would say, "My God, you went through so fast. You were such a beast. Like you're such a comp beast." And I was like, "I'm really not. Like I got lucky. Like I have long legs. So like I think Ian was about to beat me. Christmas was about to beat me. They just took a different path. Like I was so lucky. And like if I was just sitting up in the HOH room, those things that were said to me that I kind of like put out those fires could have been like talked about amongst people, and then they'd be like,
Right.
he is going to be really good. We should probably put him on the block."
Right.
So I just wanted to treat my first HOH more like I was still part of the house and not just like
Right.
the person in power deciding what goes on.
Yeah, and even with 8 competition wins, they still didn't come after you. So they didn't figure it out at all. But so let's talk about the alliances that you formed. You had a final two deal with Enzo. That felt
Yep.
the most real to me.
Yeah.
Uh, Also had a final two deal with Nicole F. We said
Yep.
she won her season.
Yep.
Also had a final two deal with Memphis, second
Yep.
on his season.
Yep.
There was an alliance called the Committee.
Yep.
You, Tyler, Memphis, Christmas, Danny, Nicole F.
Right.
That felt like the real six, big first alliance.
Yeah.
Um, and then another alliance of six called the Slick Six. You, Tyler, Danny, but now with Enzo, Davon, and Bailey.
Right. Because that formed from the Connect, which was Enzo,
Right,
John, and Bailey, and myself.
right. And then there was also the Core Four, which
Right.
was you, Enzo, Nicole F, and Danny. And then three of that Core Four actually made it to the Final Four. And
Right.
then, last but not least, an alliance of three called the Wise Guys, you, Memphis, Enzo.
Yeah.
But Memphis secretly made another Wise Guys with Enzo and
Yeah.
Christmas. That one was never real. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I had other two different ones. I had one with Tyler and Enzo called the Triple Threat.
oh, okay.
I had one with them, and then I had one with Ian, Danny, and Nicole called the Four Prime. So I had other different alliances. Like that's why I put me in an alliance with Ian, which also is why I got so skeptical of Ian.
Right. So you almost had an alliance with every single person in the house.
The only people I didn't have an alliance with were Keisha, Nicole, David, Kaser, Janelle, and I think that's it.
Right. So, which were basically the first people to get evicted.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It was the first four people evicted were like people that I didn't have something in the works with right
right.
off.
Right. And how, like, what was your thinking in having so many alliances? Because really, your real alliance in season 16 was you and Derek Hitmen, final two, and you did it. This
Right.
time, so many alliances, so much bigger. What was
Yeah.
the thought process behind that?
So I wanted to do something different than the first season that I played, where I was like really nervous. I was like, oh man, I don't like these alliances are kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to be caught up in the wrong thing. And then I just came into this one. I was like, I want to be like, like I want to have my hand in like so much stuff in this house. And so like right off the bat, I wanted to like form something with like as many people as I possibly could. And then it would, in my hopes of that would be a way for me to kind of just like fall back and not have to like really win competitions.
Right.
Because like I didn't want to be winning a ton of competitions early because I knew if you win a bunch of competitions early, you're going to be in trouble later on. And so like it just was, it was tough. But I wanted to be in with as many people as I could. It was, I think it's extremely stressful. It's why I was so stressed
Yeah.
because you're so nervous that like, oh man, did I say the right thing to this person? Now they're talking to that person. They
Right.
talking about something and like, but then I came to realize that everybody in the house was doing it.
Yeah.
I was just like, kind of like more of the trustworthy person that people felt a little more trust with. And so
Right.
it kind of helped me over the other people that were doing exactly what I was doing, just a little more noticeable and obvious to the house. And so it would put targets on their back.
Yeah, and I guess more people you're aligned with when they win HOH, they keep you off the block, and you're just kind of protected on all sides.
Right. You're protected on all sides. I wanted to go a step further and have those more important ones of like the final threes, the final twos, and the final fours are like, if somebody in this final four wins, like we're most likely going to be able to have a conversation where like maybe we come to a decision together and maybe that decision like necessarily isn't the greatest for you, but could be better for me.
Yeah.
So I just, the first time I just had this big alliance in the Hitmen.
Yeah.
And we kind of had the detonators, which was the bomb squad. Essentially, it was the
10
same
people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just like I didn't feel like on 16 I had my hand in a lot of like I think this is what we need to do. I just felt like I was the guy that was like hearing like this is what we got to do, like this is what's happening, and I was like, cool, that's what we're gonna do.
Right.
So I wanted to be more of like the person that had their hand in a decision rather than the person just hearing about the decision.
Right. This time you were more in charge. Like even if it wasn't your HOH, you were still pulling the
Yeah.
strings as if it was your HOH.
Yeah. And I still wanted it to be like, kind of getting people that were aligned with me to feel like these people have to go. Like, in order for us to go further, like somebody targeting me is not good.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose somebody. So they may not be a threat to you, but like you're maybe have a good relationship with them, but I'm going to target them.
Right.
And so like, and then they were like, which kind of helps because it's like, okay, well, like I don't have a great relationship with someone that you do, so I'll target them. It almost like works out. You're like, good, because I'm not going to target them. So if you want to, go right ahead, because then I will vote them out.
Right.
Essentially what I was doing the whole time. I was just like, good, go after them. Like, I'll vote them out. Easy.
Yeah. I felt like Danny did that a lot with you. Like she would say, I'll vote how you want this week if you vote how I want next week, that kind of thing. It never came to it where you had to, which is good, but there was a lot of that, I felt like.
It came to a point where like Danny, I think her and I were the two that were kind of like being like, these are the ones that like, these are problems, where other people kind of knew, but strategically for us, it was like, these two really have to go, or this one really has to go. And then it started to peel off of like, I need these people to go for me.
Yeah.
In the week of Ian into Davon, into Kevin, because she didn't want Davon going. She didn't want Kevin going. Like she was willing to do Ian, but like we both really wanted Ian to go. We didn't trust her, and I didn't trust Ian fully at all.
Yeah, and he won. He was a previous winner.
He was a previous winner, and his game, I could tell what he was doing. He would always come to me with information late, and it would always be like, so he would come to me about a conversation he had a day or 2 days earlier. Once somebody that he knew was close to me won the HOH.
Oh, okay.
Why did you come up to me with that? And then I would talk to Danny about it, and I was like, that's a weird thing to come to me about late.
Right.
Like, oh, now you want to tell me that they were going to come after me after they lost the HOHs, and now people that I'm tight with are winning the HOHs. So my trust with him was like kind of shot after the third week.
Yeah.
But I had before Prime. I was like, good, Ian, don't worry about targeting me. Like, I didn't think Ian would target me, but now maybe he would have. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like you were very observant also. You saw everything. You saw with Davon and Nicole and Danny picking each other for veto competitions. That was a red flag.
Yeah, I was like, you guys. Plus, it was like when Danny didn't put Davon up, I was like, we should have put her up. Like the week before, you just picked her and Bailey to go against each other. You now won the HOH. Like, why is she not on the block? Now Tyler's on the block, and Tyler was a huge ally of mine. I was like, I'm not having Tyler targeted this week.
Absolutely.
He needs to be targeted. Like, you wanted to play games with the whole house. Like, now let's go after Ian, who her and I had a discussion. They definitely didn't show it about for me, I wanted to target Ian if we had a double eviction.
Okay.
Like, we were calculating when a double eviction could be, and I was like, if there's a double this week, I'm going after Ian. Like, that's what I'm targeting. And so that's why when it all kind of, when that week blew up, I was like, let's just go after Ian. Like, that's who we wanted anyways.
Yeah.
And what she did with Davon also made me, I was like, you know what, next week, like, we should probably start targeting Davon because, like, she's got stuff going with these girls. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, they may start to protect each other, and then guess who they're going to go after? Us. And I don't want them going after us. So the all-girl alliance that they told me was formed, I was like, that's got to go.
Yep. And speaking of Ian, though, I mean, I didn't think you'd be able to convince Nicole to go after Ian. They were very tight. But
there was so much stuff that Ian was doing that Nicole wanted to, like, just brush under the rug. And I was like, because I had found out from Bailey a lot of information, which Nicole wasn't finding any of this information out because nobody was telling Nicole anything.
Yeah.
And Bailey was like, Ian came to Kaser and told him X, Y, and Z. And I know Bailey was not lying to me about that.
Yeah.
And then she came to me about Ian said this to me. And I know Bailey wasn't lying to me about that. So when I went to Nicole, I was like, stop trying to, like, play like the emotional game of like, oh, I don't want to. And they're like, Cody, he's never coming after you. He's never coming after me. Like, no, false. He just was saying all this. That's like an immediate, like, red flag of like, there's a good chance he might come after us.
Yeah.
So like stop playing this emotional game.
Right.
And so that was where Ian's thing with Nicole came. And then I also made her realize how bad blowing up the committee would have been for all of us.
Yeah.
I think that's where she came to grips with him, was like, yeah, okay.
Well, so as a viewer at home, I would say the committee, it looked like we're going to be the final six all along. Yeah. But I thought Cody and Enzo final two was such a sure thing that I was like, how is it going to work with committee's final six, but also Enzo in there? I was like, who is going to be the committee member that drops and Enzo still gets to be Final Six.
And
It
yeah,
ended up being
and
Danny. Yeah.
yeah, and then it ended
Surprising.
up being everybody else because
Funny.
Enzo. The thing about Enzo is good is because I told him about the committee early. He then started forming like good relationships with people that he like. We had the core force, and then he like did this deal with Christmas. Tyler, him, and I had the triple threat, and I knew that Tyler didn't have trust in people. I was like, so the only one that was making me nervous was Memphis, but
Right.
I would always talk up to Memphis how like Enzo. I was like, Enzo just does whatever I say. Like, don't worry about him. Like, he's fine. He's going to be a good ally. Nobody's going to go after him, and he's just going to be like the guy that floats. He's not great at comps. And then Memphis wanted to bring him in, and I was like, dude, perfect. The wise guys. This is ideal because now I know you're not going to go after him. You'll probably go after Tyler or Nicole.
Right.
So it all ended up just kind of like falling into place. It didn't fit together like a perfect puzzle.
It
It was
really did. And so Enzo didn't mind the committee thing. He kind of knew you were just doing that for the greater good.
Yeah, well, he knew, and I think it made him trust me the most,
Yeah.
which is why I think me telling him the committee made him tell me about the wise guys. Which said when I
Yeah.
found out about the wise guys, it immediately made me not trust Memphis. I was like, dude, like you're now a problem in my eyes.
Yeah.
And so like it was like, who's the bigger problem? Honestly, in that week in the final six, I was like, who's the bigger problem, Tyler or Memphis? And I was like, you know what? I think I can ride with Memphis. Let's go for Tyler. But then when Nicole won, I was like, all right, cool. Let's get Memphis out. Like Memphis has got to go. Like this guy was too good. So everything just worked out. It was awesome.
Yeah.
The strategy is there, but say Nicole doesn't win that final five veto or HOH. There's a
Yeah.
chance I'm going home.
Exactly.
Stuff falls into place, and you got to have a little bit of luck, but you have to have the strategy. And
Have the skill.
like I didn't have the strategy on 16, and this time I came in and I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah, guns blazing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your HOHs. Your first HOH, you were originally going to target Janelle and Kaser, right? But then they did the safety suite twist and a +1, and they saved each other. And did you think they were coming after you? What was that initial thing with Janelle and Kaser?
So the initial thing was I initially wanted to go put up Keisha and Kaser
Oh, okay.
because Kaser, the second I started having conversations with him, I was like, you are so calculated with every conversation you're having right now. There was no like connection.
Okay.
There was no like, oh, let's talk about like everything was always like, and this is why you have to do this, and this is needed in Big Brother, and this and that. And I was like, there's not a connect here. I was
Wow.
like, we're not connected. Like, I was like, you're too calculated. Every conversation that I would have with him, I'd be like, there's a purpose that you're trying to get through here. You're trying to like either maybe get information, do this. And I was like, I didn't, from the second I had a conversation with him, I was like, there's not a connect here. Janelle, I wasn't going to put on the block.
Okay.
But that was just part of like the storyline, you know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
it was going to be Keisha and Kaser, and I wanted to target Kaser in the first week.
Okay. See,
I
that's
wanted
why
to right away.
I thought you and Janelle would work together. That's why I had the fantasy team.
Yeah. So
But
we started like building a bond, and I think like Janelle. So the thing is they crossed information. Like I told Janelle when I talked to her in that first week, and she came up to the HOH room, I was like, I'm not putting you on the block. I
right.
was like, you are good. Like you're fine. I did not say that to Kaser. And so I think when she said that, their conversations didn't connect, and he was like, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I need to go play." And then him
Yeah.
playing made her play, and so, But then again, Janelle at the end of the show was like, "I said I was going to put up Cody and Enzo." How she wrote down in her sequester house that she would put up Enzo and I when our names were never
Right.
said until we were in sequester was a little bizarre to me.
Right.
But
She claims she has it in writing. Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, how did you have our names in writing? When was my name leaked that anybody really was saying?
Interesting. Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, so that first HOH you nominated Keisha and Kevin. Keisha was evicted. No blood on your hands, really. You told Kevin he was a pawn.
Yep.
Your second HOH, which wasn't until week 8, but the committee had been handling everything up until that point, you nominated Kevin again, this time with David. You also won the veto, so you had full control, kept the noms the same. Was there any thought at that point, since you had the veto, to maybe backdoor someone, or you were just like, we got to stick to the plan?
Yeah, stick to the plan. My plan that week was 2 people that are outside of my alliances. Those 2 people are going on a block, staying on the block, and one of them needs to go home.
Yeah.
Because for me, it would have shown cards that I didn't want to show. And I think like it would have been tough because I think you put these 2 people on the block and then you go for a back door.
Mm-hmm.
One of these 2 people win, I'm going to be on the block. If I'm now
Yeah.
on the block, if I don't win, I could be targeted. So I didn't want to pull one of them down, throw up, because like when I won that HOH, I went in immediately and I was like, these two are going on the block. If one of them comes down, Christmas is going on the block.
As a pawn, yeah.
The pawn, if she reacts a certain type of way, like I have no problem sending her home.
Right.
But immediately that would have broken my trust with Christmas.
Right.
I didn't have that great of a relationship with her, but
Right.
I was just talking about like how, you know, this distrust in Danny, this thing is weird, because I was trying to like butter up to her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I put her up. It would have been like, uh-oh, him and Danny are obviously tight. Like, you know, we need to go after them. And so like,
Yeah.
I think it would have put a target on my back. So I just needed those two to stay up, stay on the block. And then for me, I had put Kevin up for the second time now.
Yeah.
After what had gone on in the week 5, he had picked us in that pick'em HOH. I was like,
Yeah.
hands down, Kevin needs to go.
Right. Right. So Kevin got evicted. That led into the triple eviction episode. First time there was ever a triple eviction on Big Brother. And like they accidentally had it written on the wall behind Julie when she was talking to you and you all saw it.
They did this on purpose.
No, Julie didn't get a chance to tell you guys what was going on, but they had triple eviction written on the set.
I thought that was on purpose.
No, I'm pretty sure it wasn't because she was like, because you guys all react to something on the wall. Like she just went to you guys too quick, I guess. So watching at home, I was like, oh my God, she didn't even tell him. It was like an extra hour for the episode. And so then were you freaked out about the triple eviction? Because you had been HOH, so you can't play in the next one. So
I didn't play in the double.
you couldn't play in the double, but you could play in the triple. Right.
I could play in the triple. But
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, like I felt very comfortable
Yeah.
going to a double. And we had an inkling because of what Will said came on and was like, I didn't just think 1 or 2, I thought 3 steps ahead. So we were like,
Right.
3. All right, we started going and speculating. We were like, is it going to be a triple eviction? There's going to be 3 people nominated and 2 people are going home.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to go on? And I got to be honest, like I was doing stuff that week where I was like, I felt very comfortable going into those, like not having to win.
Right.
Even if I did win, I think again it would have showed like my cards. And so like for me, I was just like, it was the only person that I was sitting there, and the reason why I even went as long as I did in the HOH is because Christmas was still in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm not 100% sure. I think she'll go after Nicole and Danny, but I'm not 100% sure. Like if Christmas was out, I would have been like, oh, Tyler, done. He's not coming after me. Like I'm never going to go on the block with him. Not during this, because Danny's still in the house. Memphis is still in the house.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, cool. Like when he won it, I was like, I'm set. I'm getting through the triple. I'm not even going to go on the block.
Yeah, and he took a big swing. He put Danny and Nicole up the first time the committee turned on each other.
Both people were on the block, yeah.
Both. And Danny got evicted 4-0. So she knew leaving the house that you didn't even throw her 1 vote. She was shocked. Like, you haven't seen it yet, but her exit interview with Julie, shocked. She couldn't believe you didn't give her a vote. She was like, he's my brother in the house. Meanwhile, we're all watching at home knowing you're close with Nicole too. I don't think she realized. Yeah. And did you ever think she'd hold it against you maybe in the jury?
I was very nervous. I gave her a very long explain goodbye message.
Yes.
Of like why everything, because I was like, I need Danny to be on my side.
Yeah.
Danny is mad. She is going to vocalize who she wants to win at the end. I just knew that was going to be Danny.
Yeah.
So I need Danny to not be mad at me, because if she's mad at me, I could be in serious trouble. And so it was like, it was just so big that she ended up being that way. But I knew she was going to be very upset.
Yeah.
I knew coming around she was going to be very upset.
Yeah, she forgave you. But at that same time, Tyler and Christmas tried to get Enzo to flip and vote out Nicole. He resisted the pressure. They were trying to pressure him in the hallway right before you go in to vote. And it was smart that he resisted it because he stuck with you and Nicole till the end. But then Tyler and Christmas kind of exposed themselves as a duo.
And the thing about that was Tyler exposed himself to me drastically.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to be like, everything was always like TT, triple threat, we're tight. And I was like, you never even came to me. I talked to you in the kitchen being like, David's who Memphis wants. That's who we're voting out. David's going home. And Tyler then played dumb and was like, I thought it was going the other way. And I was like, how did you think that? And then when I won the HOH, he was like explaining everything to me on why he wanted to go after Nicole. So I was like, you didn't think it was going the other way. Like you were the one that wanted it going the other way. You had the plan. Like in your head, you were strategically trying to get out Nicole because you knew that she wasn't somebody that was tight with you. And then you were going to go after Danny. I was like, dude, it made it so obvious to me that I was like, I got to target you in the next situation that I won.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're such a beast. And I was like, if you slip up this week and you stay on the block, there's no way I'm not going to send you home. Even though I wanted to send Christmas home so bad. I wanted to clip her from Memphis.
Yeah.
I was like, Memphis, you think you're so sly with this wise guys thing? I almost wanted to clip her, but that was more of a emotional driven decision because I was just like, dude, he thinks he's so slick. I just want to prove him wrong. But I was like, the strategic decision is to go after Tyler.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately where the decision came from with that.
Right. Yeah. That was your third HOH week 9. Tyler and Christmas dominated. Tyler evicted. He's such a good player, but it was time for him to go. Then week 10.
I'll never say a bad thing about Tyler.
I mean, he's still the kind of one with the, he still has a championship left in him to win, but I don't think he'd ever.
He's a championship player that just hasn't won. Like,
yeah.
You see that with like quarterbacks all the time in the NFL or like players in the NBA. Like, these guys they're Super Bowl caliber or NBA championship caliber MVPs, and then they don't ever win a title. It's like,
exactly. Yeah. So then week 10, it gets down to 5. Nicole wins the HOH. She nominates Christmas in Memphis. Only you and Enzo are voting. You guys vote out Memphis. I mean, you could have done 1-1 and let her break the tie, but at that point, you were ready to let Memphis go. Like Danny, Memphis was shocked. Same thing with Julie. He couldn't believe it, but in his interview with Julie, he said he would have done the same thing to you.
And I knew he would have. That's why I also was like, I don't really feel like splitting the vote because then it'll seem more like a Nicole move than a me move.
Yeah.
And so I wanted it to be like, Nicole put you up, but like, bro, I could have saved you that week because I could have probably got Enzo, and then we could have kept you. So I wanted it to. My reasoning for that was a little to take away that aspect of like, oh, this is a Nicole move, but it's more of like a, hey man, I kind of know. And then I explained it to him in my goodbye message. I was like, I kind of felt it was coming from you, so like, I had to do it.
Yeah, and that's why your goodbye messages, I think, helped because everyone kind of left understanding why you did whatever you did.
Yeah, and that's everybody. Like I don't know. Somebody said something to me about my question in my goodbye. They had a question about my goodbye message. Like, your goodbye messages made us feel like it was me. You were talking like it was our fault that you had to do that you did, and I was like, well, yeah. It was. Like, yeah, I trusted, and I really liked everybody, and like, one, I liked everybody. So personally, there was never a thing. 2, I trust until like trust is broken.
Yeah.
Or until like you being around you will hurt my game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, for me, once trust was broken, I was like, yep, done.
Yeah.
I was like, I now know, like, there's no more trust there. And so for me, I was like, the trust is broken.
It's done. Yeah. So Memphis leaves week 11. Enzo wins HOH, nominates Christmas and Nicole. You're safe. You also win the veto, so it's up to you. It was the hamster wheel competition for the POV, which is insane. It's like you're doing this hamster wheel and you have to get the exact day that things happened. Are you constantly memorizing the day that things happened? How do you do that?
Not a day that goes by that you don't memorize the days.
It's unbelievable.
The one that I slipped up on was the Will one. And I was like, I wasn't 100% sure because, again, I must have just checked out for a second.
Yeah.
I run over the days every single day. Like, I was going over days of, like, when people – like, that's why in the final HOH, like, I just knew stuff because I was going over, like, what day did Tyler play in his second veto? What day did Ian play in his second veto? Like, I was going over days of everything from, like, the start of the game until the end of the game.
And you're just doing that in your head by yourself constantly?
Constantly.
I guess there's nothing else to really do, so you're memorizing.
And if you're, like, a fan of the show or just, like, wanted to prepare, you know that there's going to be a competition with that. So if you're doing it, you're ultimately saying like, I don't care about this competition.
Right.
For me, like, I do care.
But it's incredible to get them all. It's very impressive. And you win that power of veto. It's up to you who gets evicted. You have all the power that week. You're the only one voting to evict. You evict Christmas. Final 3, you, Enzo, Nicole. 4th and final HOH was obviously during the finale. 3-part HOH. Nicole wins part 1. You win part 2 against Enzo. It took you like 4 minutes. It took him, I think, the entire time. You just crushed it. And they showed that a lot. His reaction to not winning was a whole segment.
I
Uh,
watched the finale episode. This is the only episode I've watched.
yeah, and so they made a big thing about that, which
Yeah.
tugged at everyone's heartstrings for Enzo a little bit, and and then you and Nicole compete in part three, like you said. It was another memorization. You got 8 out of 8. She only got 7. You go to the final two. You get to pick. Now it's the big moment, and you pick Enzo. How hard was it on live TV? You guys are all crying
Oof.
to evict Nicole, because I was even getting teary eyed watching it. I was like, "This is a crazy moment." My
Yeah.
niece is watching. We're like, "We can't believe this is happening." This is the moment where Cody and Enzo go final two, but he's gotta cut
Yeah.
Nicole loose. So I just kept saying, "She's won before. It's okay. She's won before."
Yeah. Yeah. So that's ultimately what it was, and I was like, I knew that I had. I just felt like there were more votes that were guaranteed to go to her, and with Enzo, there were no votes that I were like, this person is definitely voting for Enzo.
Who do you think would have voted for Nicole?
I thought that depending on how Davon reacted,
Hmm.
she might have voted for Nicole. So like I chucked that one up right to Nicole. Kevin had said something to me. I don't know if they show it. Like I don't really give like if if Nicole gets to the final two, like I just might vote for her because she's a winner that got to the final two.
Yeah. But as
David
soon
had
as you hear that, it's like she's
yeah,
gotta go.
I'm like, uh-oh. David had a conversation with Nicole being like, I know you don't have to be the one in charge to be making decisions, Cole. I see the game that you're playing. So I thought maybe David would vote for her.
Right.
Christmas, I know had a final two with her.
Oh,
I was like, Christmas and Nicole had a final two. Like, Christmas may be like, you know what? I want to vote for Nicole because I respect her as a winner. I was like, that's 4 votes. I was like, that's way too many that I felt were going to go to Nicole. I was like, that means I'd have to sweep everyone else, which I didn't know if that was going to be the case. So
right.
like Enzo, I was like, I think they could vote for either of us. This one could vote for either of us. This one could vote for either of us. And so I was like, that was also like what was in my head. I was like, Enzo 100% is
So
winning.
you thought Nicole definitely had 4, could maybe get 5, which would mean she
Then I
won.
was like, because then for me, I was like, Ian may be subjective, but
Mm.
not. I thought Ian was going to be. I was like, if Ian is that one vote that I'm trying, like Ian is my swing vote.
Yeah.
That's probably like 60-40 to Nicole, unless
Yeah.
I see something to really prove him and switch him the other way. So I was like, I could take her and lose. And so I was not, I did not want to take somebody and lose.
It's amazing. I mean, you really thought about every possible scenario and it worked out
Yeah.
perfectly. And like we said, 9-0. You got all the jury votes, even Danny, who you evicted, even Memphis, who you evicted, even Nicole, who you evicted a few minutes earlier. And they all respected your gameplay. And I think for the most part, you were friends with everybody, friendly with everybody at least.
Right.
Here's what Enzo, I don't know if you saw this. What did you see what he said about you to Entertainment Weekly? Have you read that article?
No, I
So
didn't.
this is what Enzo said. It's very nice. He said, "I think Cody was just so awesome from beginning to end. I told Cody, bro, whoever you sit next to, you're going to destroy. You played this game neat. I was in awe. His social game was really good. He was in everyone's cookie jar. He was in the loop about everything and comps. I mean, come on, that last comp, 4 minutes. This guy didn't miss one question at the end. He came to play and he played hard. He played awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the guy you beat in the end. Like
This is
has
my,
so much respect for you.
yeah, this is my guy. I love Enzo. I texted him
Yeah,
so much. Him and I are going to have a relationship far past this house.
absolutely.
Oh, I'm glad that I was able to go in there and meet him, and I'm glad that I was able to have him come and like he won some extra money. He had that experience. He can now say like it's hard enough to get to the final three twice, and now he went to the final three and went to the final two. Like I think he doesn't get enough credit for the player that he is, and
Right. He was never targeted, just like you. Until the only time he was nominated was your final HOH.
right.
It was
So
pretty amazing. So now that we've talked about season 22, would you ever do Big Brother again?
it would depend. It would be under the right circumstances. I
Yeah.
would absolutely do Big Brother again. I'm so grateful that they called me, gave me the opportunity. If they called, unless something was really, really holding me back from doing it, it would have to be
Yeah.
really substantial to hold me back. I would do it again because they just the opportunity that they gave me, like the producers, I'm like forever in debt to them. And so, like if they're like, we need you, even if they're like, we need you for this, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna be out there, like,
Yeah.
so.
But the pressure's on you. You always have to make it to final two. That's the thing.
Yeah, I guess, but I think I'd love to go back,
Yeah.
and against under the right circumstances. But now I know I'm going to be one of the people that has a target on their back right away. So
Yeah. So I don't know if you've had a chance to see, but there were some interesting things that came out of the season outside of the gameplay. They showed a lot on CBS. Dave Vaughn and Case are having like serious conversations about their race and being
yeah,
black and Muslim and representation on TV and on Big
yeah,
Brother. And I thought
yeah.
CBS did a really good job showing these like really heartfelt conversations. I don't think they realized it would make it to the show. They were
Yeah.
just kind of having personal conversations. I thought that was a really nice thing about this
So
season.
I know. I think they did something with David and different
Yeah.
experiences David had, and like life experiences he had, and he talked about it. He mentioned a lot to me, and so I think it is cool that those stories were able to be shared and told, and people were able to see this. And because there's a lot of people watching this show,
Yeah.
and so I thought that was cool. Like even Davon's speeches, like like
They were
I said,
good.
what an incredible speech you had, like just articulate, like you knew you hit your points, and I was like, she was like, you know, and there's not many times I could be in front of X amount of people. So, and so it's cool that they were able to have a platform to speak on different situations that maybe they would never get in front of that many people. So,
Yeah, I think it made the season like it added an extra like special element to it,
yeah,
which I thought was nice.
different time in this world. We're in a
Totally.
complete, never been in the situation that we're in right now. We're like what we were in before going into the house. And so you
Yeah.
knew it was going to be, you knew people were going to be like, are you just going to not, have this? And so to have people like talking about it and having it, get airtime, I think was cool and brings like perspective from like different people, so I
Yeah.
thought,
And actually, for people who watch the live feeds or read Joker's updates or something, Tyler was serious when he wanted to be backdoored to get Devon and Bailey off the block. Because anyone who saw it happen live, he really wanted to. And he said, for the Black Lives Matter movement, I don't want Devon and Bailey up there together. Backdoor me. And Christmas just didn't want to use her HOH to evict Tyler, I think it came down to. But he
yeah,
was serious
yeah,
about
she had
that.
a final two with Tyler. They had been working together from the
Yeah.
beginning. It was a funny one for me to find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think for Christmas, I just think she wanted, especially they had their blow up like
Yeah.
at any point. It just game. If you game, there would have been no reason for her to have done that. In
Yeah.
the
But I'm glad in the jury house, Tyler and Devon got to like talk about the
yeah,
fact that he was serious. That was like a sincere
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then another
And
thing that happened was like there was some controversy with like Ian getting bullied for his autism and stuff,
yeah,
which didn't involve you, didn't involve Enzo, didn't involve Tyler, involved some of the other people in the house. But I was surprised. First of all, you shouldn't do it anyway. But I was surprised with cameras running 24/7 that people wouldn't be more
I
conscious of
always
the
say
fact.
that. I always say that with these cameras. Like you don't like sometimes you may slip and say something, and you're like,
Right.
oh, okay. Because like I was always somebody that I was always like when certain people would be talking in certain aspects, I'd be like, we're on, the cameras are on.
Yeah.
And so it's like I was always aware. I was always like, and like when you're talking, you don't. I mean, maybe it's not the same for everybody, but like that's something that I always say. I'm always aware. Like
Right.
you either hear a camera move, you see a camera move. Like there's so many cameras you cannot mistake it and be like, oh well, you forget. Like yeah, you forget. Like when you're having a conversation, but you don't forget that you're always on. You're always being recorded.
But also, I think it's who you are. Like, if you wouldn't make fun of Ian in real life, you're not going to make fun of him in the house. So I thought that was, but it brought to light the conversation about autism, and it kind
Yeah, I
of,
was thinking about that as well. We had
yeah,
it because my sister works with special needs students. That's what she got her master's in psychology, educational psychology. Like this is what she does.
yeah,
She's like I've gone through like testing stuff with her. Like it fascinates me
me
because
too.
it
Yeah,
fascinates me like that you label them with autism could be the most brilliant mind that you ever could speak to. Like
of course,
Ian, and I feel like Ian is one of the most brilliant people I've ever spoken to. And
absolutely.
I asked him about like the rocking. I was like, just because I am like very like interested in this, and he opened up to me about it, which I respect him so much because sometimes people just don't and they shut down, and him opening up to me about that I thought was incredible. I have so much respect for Ian. He's just an incredible person, like
Yeah,
genuinely as a person, but also a brilliant mind, and doesn't like it was crazy to me hearing some of the stories that he told me about coming off of 14 and stuff, and like what it feels like in his body for like these certain things, and that this is just fascinating to me.
yeah,
Because like I don't know, I just have a lot of, it's just something that's very interesting to me that I like learning about and like learning more about and being more educated about.
yeah,
And so just on that, that's why I have a ton of respect for Ian, which is
yeah.
why
Same.
know.
Yeah, my mom taught preschool handicapped kids
Yeah.
in South Brunswick for years, and so it was kids with autism, Down syndrome, and so same as you. Like I've always been interested in it and compassionate about it and fascinated by it. Uh, and yeah, and Ian with the rocking, I think is his way of like soothing himself or
Self-soothing mechanism, which is
totally.
what my sister has talked about a lot of different things when I talk about this, because my mother works in a school and I would always go in and substitute teach. And one of the students that was in there has like the in-class support, and he always would feel better, or he would be in a better situation if there was a male there,
Mm-hmm.
a male figure in the classroom. So
Interesting.
whenever like the substitute, whenever they would need somebody, they would always be like, we need Cody to come in.
Oh, nice.
Like with him. And so like my sister would tell me a little bit about the self-soothing stuff. So like it just was, I'm just like very, it's just very interesting to me, and I love learning about it because it just brings awareness to, and I think people were listening to that conversation. I don't think it ever made it, but like for me it was like something that I wanted to like kind of learn more about, because Ian is somebody who's smarter than anybody you'll ever talk to. So like to be like, oh, he is like, I guess I don't know the proper terminology. I think it's like on the
On
spectrum
the
or whatever.
spectrum, right? Yeah.
Right? And so like to, he just, I don't know. He's an incredible person.
Yeah, they did show him talking with a group in the early weeks in like upstairs, that one
Okay, I must have not.
section. Yeah, they showed him talking about it. They were asking, but then behind his back, like a group of people on the live feeds were like making fun of him, and I was like, oh man. But if anything, it brings attention to autism, and that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't bully people. So that's
Yeah.
the
It's
the
like,
other side to it.
yeah, just
Um,
everybody needs to be aware of that.
Yeah. And so the last thing I want to say about Big Brother is that I don't know if I've told you this, but we did a simulated Big Brother in California, in LA, at Lance Bass's house one weekend. Did I ever tell you about
Oh,
this?
I don't know if I heard about this,
I
but I
might have
heard.
told you. Yeah, I might have told
Yeah,
you. So
okay.
between seasons 14 and 15, we called it Big Brother 14.5.
You did
And
talk about
I,
this.
I told you. Okay, well, I'll share it for people who love Big Brother out there. So this company, Reality Rush, came in and they turned Lance Bass's house into a Big Brother house. And over the course of a 3-day weekend, we did an entire season. So it would be every hour would be, HOH, nominations, POV, eviction. And it was like Lance Bass and his husband Michael, our friend Ali Roney, Jamie Lynn Sigler, Cutter Dykstra, Sarah Paxton, Zach Kreger. And the best part was Dan Giesling flew out from Michigan with his wife Chelsea, and they played with us. So I would wake up in the morning to like Dan Giesling talking, and I'd be like, "Am I in a Big Brother house?" Like it was the most surreal thing. And Sarah Paxton ended up winning. Cutter Dykstra, Jamie Lynn Sigler's husband, was second place. Jeff Schroeder came from Big Brother 11, hosted a competition. Mike Boogie came, hosted a competition. It was awesome. So if anyone wants to do that, it's a company called Reality Rush.
Yeah.
And the last thing, you mentioned your acting career. Uh, I was going to ask you, you've done a bunch of movies. You did a movie called What Happened Last Night with
Yeah.
Shelley, who I'm friends with.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what was that experience like doing this comedy film?
That was different. It was new because it was a low budget film,
Yeah,
independent film, and so to get that experience was like, but experience it with people that have done it. Like Shelley has worked on incredible projects
yeah,
that have
she's
been
in the Pitch Perfect movies.
right.
Yeah,
So it was a cool experience, but it was a lot. It was kind of stressful because it's like a lot of stuff goes on. You
yeah,
know, you have limited time because it's like the budget and all that stuff. So that was cool, but it was a cool like stepping stone to do that and then like build off of that and then have these different productions, like being on Elementary and being on the set of Set It Up, which was a huge Netflix film. Like
right.
I was like, this is insane. Like I was with Pete Davidson and Glenn Powell. I was like,
Yeah,
my God, these guys are A-listers. Like we were
yeah,
hanging, going to set, like the whole street we shot down, the big lights everywhere. It's like, so you see the differences. It's like, it's cool to grow in it a little bit, and then hopefully I can just turn it into what is how I pay my bills. That's what I'll call, I'm an
absolutely.
actor, but I want to be able to pay my bills as an actor. That's what I want
Exactly.
to file that on my income tax.
Right, exactly. Glenn Powell is actually a good friend of mine. He was on the podcast. If you go back and listen to his episode, he tells his whole story of how he made it and how he got
Yeah.
his start. It's cool. He's a really nice guy.
Awesome. When we had that joke, he made me feel so included. He was like, come and hang out. We like between we went to set. He was like, it's come and hang out in my trailer. And his trailer was like this huge thing. I had like something that was like I couldn't even lay down widthwise, and then I could only lay down. So
Right.
coming out, and he had the bathroom, the couch. He's like the microwave and everything. I was like, and he was just like, talking. He was such an incredible person. Him and Pete Davidson were like they really made me feel like included. And this was like
Yeah.
after my brother.
Right.
It was super cool.
And
Two cool guys.
that was a Netflix budget, so a little different.
Yeah. Right. That's what I
So
was saying. Like, whoa.
yeah, so one thing I like to do is ask my guests, what advice do you have for someone who wants to have a career like yours, either reality star, actor? What advice do you give people about how to make it?
If you want to be a reality star, you have to always be yourself. You have to not try to be something that you're not, because then I think you get caught up in a very like dark space mentally. Like if you're like, oh, I'm going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you like, either if you're not really that person, like you find yourself battling like internally, like, oh, I have to be this person to be on this show. Like, so I would say if you want to be a reality person, like be yourself and put in on shows that like you think who you are is going to be entertaining or something that people want to watch and connect with.
Yeah.
Whether that's, different reality shows like that I've been watching, like ones like, this is like Big Brother, Survivor, all the ones on CBS, or like even ones like The Circle, which I thought is such a cool reality show.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be yourself, because if you're not yourself, then you're just like you're inauthentic, and a lot of times the casting people, it comes across to them, they realize they're like, this is not who this person is. Right. So like, how can we categorize them as, because they're the same way like an acting, like a film or a television show has their breakdown of what they need, like reality shows have the same thing.
Yeah.
So you need to be yourself, and it needs to fit into it, or else you're probably just going to get passed up on. And then if you want to be an actor, it is like, you can never, ever think that it's going to happen overnight. And even if it does happen overnight, if you don't do the right things to sustain it, like you could get this quick high and then you could come crashing down to earth. And it's like, that's a tough thing to deal with mentally. So it's just being prepared, always being like ready for a call to come in. My manager was just calling me because I saw like an audition just came in. It's like, because he's working on the West Coast. So
yeah,
always be prepared for that. Always be ready to go. Always be working on your craft, because you do fall out. Like it's like athletics. I equate acting to like athletics. Like if I didn't train every single day, like to pass the ball or like work on my first touch wouldn't be good. So like if you're not like doing something every single day to keep yourself locked in, and it's different things. It could be watching different things. It doesn't necessarily have to always be like acting.
Yeah.
It could be studying different people. Like you need to be locked in to like being better at the craft. And that's, I think, not necessarily just with acting. I think that's with anything in life. So you could take that. Those are just the two things that I love.
Yeah.
But, I could equate that to coaching, how I am with coaching and how I am in real estate too. So I think it also balances to anything you're doing.
Yeah.
For reality, be true to yourself. You have to be true to yourself.
Yeah. It's obviously working for you, whatever you're doing so far. Okay. So the very last thing we do here at On the List is called the mystery question, where the guest from my last podcast leaves a question for my next guest. And I don't even know what it is. So the guest on my last podcast it links all the episodes together. So the guest on the last episode was Evan Anton. He's the host of Evan Goes Wild on Animal Planet. He just wrote a new book called World Wild Vet. So because we're social distancing, he had to email it to me, and I had to print it and not look at it and seal it in an envelope. So
print it and not look at it.
You just close your eyes.
All right.
Wait, where is it? Number 58. So this is yours. This is your question. And Evan writes, question for next guest. What is the most common / biggest misconception people make about you that don't know you well or personally?
Ooh, that's a really, really good question. I think a lot of people, when they first look at me and they like see me, the biggest misconception is that like I'm into myself. I think everybody thinks that like I'm arrogant and into myself, and it's like I couldn't be further from the truth about like who I am. Like I feel like it's just like a judgment that gets projected on me, and I'm like, no, that's not me at all. Like I'm not like the guy that's arrogant and like wants all the attention and like stuff like that. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions that get like kind of pushed my way.
Yeah, and then once they get to know you, they're like, he's just a Jersey guy. He's a nice guy from Jersey.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good question. Oh man, now I got to come up with a question.
That was a good one. So now you'll come up with one. You have time. It's for the next guest, whoever that may be, and I'll have you email it to me. Just like write mystery question and then press return a couple times so it's at the bottom so I can just.
Gotcha.
So that is a wrap on episode 58.
Yeah,
we did
Brad. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Cody, for being here. Congratulations again on winning Big Brother All Stars. That is no easy feat, but you did it. And thank you, everybody, for listening, and I will talk to you next time.